The Nonda plum, known botanically as Parinari Nonda, is one of those understated yet culturally powerful fruits that reveal just how complex and ancient human relationships with wild foods can be. Found across northern Australia and parts of Papua New Guinea, it exists at the intersection of ecology, indigenous knowledge, and survival-based culinary tradition. While much of the world associates plums with soft, juicy stone fruits from Eurasia, the Nonda plum belongs to a completely different botanical lineage, its identity shaped not by cultivated orchards but by fire-adapted savanna landscapes, monsoon rhythms, nutrient-poor soils, and thousands of years of traditional harvesting practices. Its story begins in the tropical and semi-arid woodlands of Australia, where tree species evolved under the pressures of extreme heat, erratic rainfall, and regular natural fires. The Nonda tree adapted strikingly well to these conditions. It grows slowly, develops thick bark resistant to seasonal burns, and produces small, yellow to orange fruits with resilient skins and dense, starchy flesh. While not the sugary dessert fruit that modern consumers expect, Nonda plum carries deep historical significance as a bushfood, a category of native fruits, seeds, and roots that sustained indigenous communities through seasonal cycles. For thousands of years, Aboriginal peoples incorporated the fruit into survival strategies, cuisine, and seasonal calendars. The Nonda fruiting period often signaled a shift in environmental conditions, marking transitions between dry and wet seasons. In many regions, the fruit served as a dependable food source during periods when protein was scarce or when other plant resources were dormant. Archaeological evidence and ethnobotanical records show that groups would gather the fruit in large quantities, sometimes consuming it fresh but more often processing it to improve texture and flavor. It was sun-dried, ground, roasted, mashed into cakes, or stored long-term in woven containers. This practical approach transformed the Nonda plum into a versatile and energy-dense survival ingredient. As Australia's modern bushfood industry has gained global attention, the Nonda plum remains one of the lesser-known species, overshadowed by finger limes, kakadu plums, lemon myrtle, and wattleseed. Yet to researchers, ecologists, and indigenous food historians, the fruit represents something far more meaningful: resilience. A fruit born from harsh landscapes, embedded with cultural memory, and standing as a botanical reminder that the world's most important foods are not always the sweetest or most commercialized. They are often the foods that kept communities alive. Botany and morphology. Parinari Nonda belongs to the Chrysobalanaceae family, a group unrelated to Eurasian stone fruits but sharing the trait of a hard central seed. The trees are small to medium-sized, typically reaching 8 to 10 meters, with gnarled trunks and rough bark adapted to withstand heat and fire. Leaves are leathery and simple, with silvery undersides that reduce moisture loss. Flowers are small, white, and fragrant, attracting bees and other pollinators during the warm months. Fruit development begins toward the end of the dry season, with mature fruits appearing during the early wet season, depending on local climate patterns. Fruit characteristics. The Nonda plum fruit is oval to slightly elongated, 2 to 3 centimeters in diameter, yellow to orange when ripe, firm, fibrous, and mildly fragrant, containing a single extremely hard seed. Its flavor is often described as subtle, nutty, slightly sweet, sometimes chalky, depending on ripeness and preparation. Unlike most cultivated fruits, its evolutionary advantage is durability, not juiciness. Ecology and environmental role. Nonda trees play a major ecological role in monsoonal savannas. They provide food for birds, wallabies, rodents, and insects. Help regenerate post-fire landscapes due to fire-resistant traits. Support indigenous burning practices by surviving controlled cultural burns. Stabilize soils in open woodland ecosystems. Their resilience comes from deep root systems, thick bark, and the ability to withstand drought. Indigenous knowledge and traditional use. This is where the Nonda plum becomes culturally rich. Indigenous communities developed a sophisticated understanding of when and how to use the fruit. Traditional harvesting. Fruit was collected when fallen or shaken down from branches, often gathered in large woven baskets or bark containers, sometimes stored in shaded camps for gradual ripening. Processing techniques. Because the fruit can be dry and dense, preparation was essential. Common methods included sun-drying to concentrate sugars, roasting to soften fibers, crushing and mixing with water, grinding into flour-like material, shaping into small cakes for long-term storage. These techniques increased digestibility and transformed the fruit into an energy-rich staple during lean seasons. Nutritional profile. Nonda plum is not a dessert fruit, it is a survival fruit with dense, slow-release energy. Typical nutritional highlights include high carbohydrates, starch-rich flesh, moderate sugars. Dietary fiber, potassium and trace minerals, polyphenols and natural antioxidants. Its low water content makes it uniquely suited for preservation. Modern research and cultural revival. Australia's bushfood renaissance has sparked renewed interest in native fruits. Researchers have examined Parinari Nonda for its drought-resistant agricultural potential. its long-term storage properties, its micronutrient value, its antioxidant composition, its potential use in flowers, snacks, and functional foods. While still niche, it has become a symbol of indigenous food knowledge and environmental adaptation. Economic and culinary use today. The fruit is rarely sold commercially but is increasingly used in bush tucker tours. Featured in indigenous cuisine events. Processed into powders or dried snacks. Promoted for climate-resilient agriculture research. Ambitious chefs use Nonda Plum in rustic breads, wild fruit chutneys, native Australian tasting menus, earthy, minimalist desserts. Its flavor works well with spices, roasted meats, and herbal infusions.